Chapter 4 Conjugal Partnership of Gains. So Section 7 talks about the liquidation of the conjugal partnership assets and liabilities. So Article 129 provides that upon the dissolution of the conjugal partnership regime, the following procedure shall apply. So before that, we have to know when the dissolution of the conjugal partnership occurs. So under the law, the conjugal partnership is terminated through death of either spouse, legal separation, annulment or declaration of nullity, or judicial separation of property during marriage. So Article 129 talks about the procedure in case of dissolution of CPG or conjugal partnership gains. The law provides 9 procedures to wit. First, an inventory shall be prepared listing separately all the properties of the conjugal partnership and the exclusive properties of each spouse. So this refers to the inventory of all the properties, whether conjugal partnership or exclusive properties of each spouse. So conjugal properties are mentioned in Article 117 of this code, and exclusive properties of each spouse are also mentioned in Article 109 of this code. Second paragraph. Amounts advanced by the conjugal partnership in payment of personal debts and obligation of either spouse shall be credited to the conjugal partnership as an asset thereof. So, this talks about the restitution of advances made to each of the spouses when the conjugal partnership paid the debt of an obligation of either spouse. What has been paid by the conjugal partnership gains must be included as part of the conjugal partnership asset during the liquidation. So according to the law, when a spouse uses conjugal partnership funds to pay for their personal debts or obligation, the amount advanced is considered as an asset of the conjugal partnership. This means that the conjugal partnership now owns the debt or obligation rather than the individual spouses. So third paragraph. Each spouse shall be reimbursed for the use of his or her exclusive funds in the acquisition of property or for the value of his or her exclusive property, the ownership of which has been vested by law in the conjugal partnership. So, what is exclusive funds and what is exclusive property? So, these are funds or properties that belong to only one of the spouse and are not a joint or community asset. So, example, money earned by one spouse from their work or business, or another one is money or property inherited by one spouse, or money or property received as a gift from someone other than the other spouse. So how does this rule work? When a spouse uses their exclusive funds to acquire a property, or when their exclusive property is vested in the conjugal partnership, they have the right to be reimbursed for the value of those exclusive funds or properties. This means that the spouse who contributed to the exclusive funds or property will receive compensation for their contribution. For example, John and Maria are married and have a conjugal partnership. So John uses his exclusive funds to buy a car, which is then vested in the conjugal partnership. John has the right to be reimbursed for the value of his exclusive funds, used to buy the car. Another one is Maria inherits a property and uses it to pay off a debt of the conjugal partnership. So Maria has the right also to be reimbursed for the value of her exclusive property, which was used to pay off the debt. So next, paragraph 4. The debts and obligation of the conjugal partnership shall be paid out of the conjugal assets In case of insufficiency of said assets, the spouses shall be solidarily liable for the unpaid balance with their separate properties in accordance with the provisions of paragraph 2 of Article 121. So meaning the assets owned jointly by the spouses to pay off any debts or obligation kuno. And if in any case the conjugal assets are not enough to cover all the debts, the spouses will need to use their separate properties to pay the remaining balance because they are solidarily liable. They are both responsible for paying the unpaid balance even if it's not entirely their responsibilities. So, paragraph 5. Whatever remains of the exclusive properties of the spouses shall thereafter be delivered to each of them. Meaning, after the conjugal partnership is dissolved, any remaining exclusive properties will be returned to each spouses. Paragraph 6. Unless the owner had been indemnified from whatever source, the loss or deterioration of movables used for the benefit of the family belonging to either spouse, even due to fortuitous event, shall be paid to said spouse from the conjugal funds if any. So meaning unless the owner had been indemnified, meaning this means that if the owner kuno either of the spouse had already been compensated or reimbursed for the loss or damage, this article does not apply. Loss or deterioration of movables. This refers to the loss of or damage of movable assets such as household items, furnitures, vehicles that benefited the family. So, even due to fortuitous event, this means that the loss or damage can occur due to unforeseen circumstances such as natural disaster or accident. So, in summary, paragraph 6 ensures that if a spouse loses or damages family assets due to unforeseen circumstances, they will be compensated from the conjugal partnership funds unless they have already been indemnified. Next, paragraph 7. The net remainder of the conjugal partnership property shall constitute the profits, which shall be divided equally between husband and wife unless a different proportion or division was agreed upon in the marriage settlements or unless there have been a voluntary waiver or forfeiture of such share as provided in this code. So, in dividing kuno the profits of the conjugal partnership, it will be divided equally between the husband and the wife unless they have agreed to a different marriage settlements or unless one spouse has voluntarily waived or forfeited their shares. So, paragraph 8. The presumptive legitimes of the common children shall be delivered upon the partition in accordance with Article 51. So, presumptive legitimes. This refers to the share or rights that children are entitled to in the estate of their parents, particularly in the event of partition of the conjugal partnership. So, this paragraph kuno states that during the partition of the conjugal partnership, properties, the rights or shares of the common children will be distributed in accordance with the rules specified in Article 51. So what is Article 51? Article 51 of the Family Code provides that the presumptive legitimes of common children are to be delivered in cash, properties, or securities after a final judgment. This is to be done as of the date of the final judgment unless the parties have already made other arrangements. Lastly, paragraph 9 of Article 129, in the partition of properties, the conjugal dwelling and the lot on which it is situated shall, unless otherwise agreed upon by the parties, be adjudicated to the spouse with whom the majority of the common children chose to remain. Children below the age of 7 years are deemed to have chosen the mother, unless the court has decided otherwise. So in case there is no such majority, the court shall decide, taking into consideration the best interest of said children. So, Meaning ko no, that during the partition of the conjugal partnership properties, the conjugal dwelling or the family home and the lot where it was situated will be allocated to the spouse with whom the majority of the common children chose to remain. If there is no majority, the court will decide, taking into consideration the best interest of said children. So in summary, Article 129 outlines the procedures for dividing the conjugal partnership assets and liabilities upon the dissolution of marriage. This article aims to ensure a fair and equitable distribution of assets and liabilities upon the dissolution of the marriage, taking into account the contribution made by each spouse during the conjugal partnership. That would be all. Thank you.